Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Manitoba Start is the leading provider of career services to newcomers in the province of Manitoba and connects businesses to a world-class workforce. I would like to welcome you all to this Labor Market Connection webinar, a series of live broadcasted events designed to assist you in entering the Manitoba labor market. To begin, Manitoba Start operates from Treaty 1 territory, the traditional land of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, and Dene people, and homeland of Métis people. We acknowledge that our water is sourced from Shoal Lake 41st Nation. Acknowledging this truth is important, yet only a small part in cultivating strong relationships with Indigenous communities. Today's webinar is focusing on the Tech Manitoba. My name is Eda Can. I am Labor Market Connections Coordinator here at Manitoba Start, and I will be your host for today's webinar.
Bonjour tout le monde, je m'appelle Rab Hamazer et je travaille pour Manitoba Start en tant que traductrice en français. Et je serai ici pour vous aider avec toutes les questions que vous aurez. Merci et bienvenue encore à ce webinaire.
Given the large number of participants who joined this webinar, we have muted your microphone to allow for better clarity and less interference. Before we begin, I will be going over a couple of housekeeping items. You can use the raised hand feature to indicate that you have a question or comment. To do this, you can click on the Participants button in the meeting controls, find the raised hand icon next to your name, and click on it. This will notify us that we have a raised hand. Teams webinars provide a Q&A feature that allows attendees to ask questions specifically in the Q&A panel. To access this, click on the More Options 3 dots button in the meeting controls and select Q&A. You can then type your question in the Q&A panel. Before I introduce our presenter for today, I would like to run a few polls to get to know you better. So the first poll asks, are you registered with Manitoba Start? Yes or no? I'll give you a moment to answer. %100 said yes. And on our second poll, do you need help with a resume, cover letter, or interview preparation? Yes or no? I'll give you a moment to answer. %71 said yes and 29% said no. On our third poll today, where are you joining us from today? Northern Manitoba, Southern Manitoba, Winnipeg, outside of Canada? I'll give you a moment to answer. %100 said Winnipeg. And on our last poll for today, it asks, what is your reason for attending this webinar? Are you an internationally educated professional, settlement worker, career coach, or other? Again, I will give you a moment to answer. %57 said internationally educated professional, 9% said settlement worker, 33% said career coach, and 17% said other. Thank you everyone for participating in the polls. Today's webinar is with the Tech Manitoba. Tech Manitoba is one of Manitoba's major tech industry associations dedicated to facilitating connections and growing their tech sector. They add value for their members and bringing a diverse group for people together to share skills, explore ideas, and building a strong community. They represent over 130 corporate members that employs over 10,000 skilled Manitobans. So please welcome Marie Hocolt from Tech Manitoba. Over to you, Marie.
Thank you, Ida, so much. We're going to give Ida a few minutes. She is being wonderful in sharing my PowerPoint on her side because it wasn't sharing on my side. So always the fun part of tech. So I just want to say hello and welcome. And I'm thrilled to see so many people attending this session, which means you're probably very, very interested about the tech sector here in Manitoba. So my name again, Marie Hacko. I work in program management. I do a lot of work in talent initiatives with post-secondaries, with newcomers, with mid and senior level talent. And I also do a lot of industry engagement. So I'm a good representative to speak about the sector to the audience today. So I'm just going to ask Ida to advance the slide forward to slide number 2. I just want to tell you a little bit about what Tech Manitoba is. So we represent Manitoba's growing tech sector. We are an industry-led association. That means we have members, companies that are members in our association. We're a nonprofit. And we try to help our companies thrive and grow through collaboration, education, and promotion. We are the province's oldest tech association. We're over 30 years here in Manitoba. Again, we're a nonprofit. And we represent it kind of fluctuates about 125 to 130 member companies that are either tech companies or something we call tech adjacent, which means they use a lot of technology in their organization. So it can cover anybody from a solopreneur, startup companies, entrepreneurs, SMEs, which means small and medium enterprises, and also covers some of the handful of large multinationals that we have here as head offices here in Winnipeg. So we focus on activities on advocacy, education, building connections, by ways of networking and mentorships and supporting business development. And I'm going to talk a lot about all of that in this presentation today. So if I can have the next slide, please, Ida. So I said we have 125 members. I couldn't fit them all on the slide, of course. If you're new to Canada, new to Manitoba, some of these might be new to you. Some of them are bigger, like Canadian Tire. That's a fairly big company. Skip the Dishes originated here in Winnipeg, and they're one of our members. Then you'll have smaller ones, like Theory Mesh is a small one. Just to give you sort of a snapshot of, what types of companies are in our membership base. Okay, next slide, please. So what is our mission and what is our vision as a nonprofit? So our mission is to champion and empower Manitoba's tech sector. And our vision is to make Manitoba the most diverse and inclusive tech sector in Canada. So we're very invested in EDI initiatives to allow as many people as possible into the sector for diversity and inclusion. Next slide, please. So exactly, how do we do that? So we do it by a number of things. We can start with number 1, which we promote and celebrate a variety of careers and member companies. So I'll be talking about some of our members today and some of our activities that we have that you might be interested. Another part is we do help women and underrepresented groups gain skills that lead to ICT jobs. Number 3 is that we like to connect members to recruitment, retention, and capacity building opportunities. Again, we'll talk about some of those opportunities a little later on in the presentation. And we like to advocate with our partners for innovation in education. So we try to cover everything from industry to talent to education. A lot of the post-secondaries are in our membership as well. And that's how we really work to diversify and grow our tech talent pool. All right, next slide, please. So we're going to get into some of the stats, because if you're new to Manitoba, you might not know how big or how, the size and scope. Obviously we're not Vancouver and we're not Toronto. So these are older stats from 2022 because that's the only information that we have to pull until the government of Manitoba comes up with new stats. But in 2022, our Manitoba's ICT industry contributed $2.2 billion in GDP. So it gives you sort of an idea of just the scope of tech in Manitoba. Next slide, please. And in 2022, in Manitoba, employed in tech in full-time and part-time workers in total was 13,200 people employed in the tech sector. So that would be, they worked in ICT specific, and then there's many more that work within the sector as a whole. So yes, the tech sector would be hiring tech people, but they also hire HR and accounting and those, general business type roles as well. So not just tech roles. Next slide, please. So this is really important because we're not Toronto and because we're not Vancouver. Manitoba's ICT businesses tend to be smaller, with 95% of our membership having 1 to 19 employees. So that's when I was talking about SMEs, those small and medium enterprises. Most of the tech companies in Manitoba will fall into that category of 19 and under employees. Next slide, please. Okay, so again, you're looking at over 100 employees in the tech sector. We have about 18 companies that would have over 100 employees. Under 100 employees, we'd have about 655 companies in total in all of Manitoba, not just talking about our membership base that have under 100 employees. Again, we're talking about those small and medium enterprises. And then we have a lot of self-employed or solopreneurs that work in the tech sector, and that's 674. So that would be your startup companies or those individual companies that are run by one person that are in Manitoba. Okay, next slide, please. So this is not shocking. This is a quick graph that shows you where are all the jobs in Manitoba. So you can see there's a little bit in Southeast Manitoba, South Central, Southwest Manitoba, Interlake and Parklands. It's a very low representation, but you can see that the majority of the employees that work in tech are in Winnipeg. So in 2019, again, we're working with old stats until the new statistics come in. 83% were in Winnipeg. And again, in 2020, it was 86% of the people who worked in tech were based in Winnipeg, which makes total sense because we are the largest center in the province. Brandon would be the second, but Winnipeg is the biggest. Okay, next slide, please. So that's a snapshot of the tech ecosystem. Just to give you a sense, again, we're made up of small and medium enterprises. That sort of comprises our tech ecosystem. And then you're wondering, well, that's wonderful, but how do I get started? How do I get a foot in the door? And I'm going to go over a couple ways that you can get started in learning more about the tech ecosystem or how to get started in Manitoba in terms of I want to get involved with tech in our province. So we're going to start by talking about we have our Tech Manitoba website, and I'll go a little bit into depth about our events page, our jobs board, which you'll find interesting, and how to subscribe to our newsletter. So Edith, you can go to the next slide, please. So this is our website. In the upper right-hand corner, that is going to be all the web links for you that you can, I'm not sure if this presentation will be shared afterwards with everyone, but a lot of links are in this presentation. So that's what our website looks like. And you can see there's a little toggle or a drop down for about, job board, events and training, initiatives, industry, MB Tech Week, and membership. So that's basically our front-facing, our landing page for Tech Manitoba, where you can access a lot of our resources. Okay, next one, please. So that job board is the one I was talking about. I just did a quick snapshot of it. This is an old picture, but if you do go to our website and you hit job board, this is kind of what you're going to be seeing. Our members post, not all of our members, but most of them have their own career pages. So that, they post a lot of their jobs on their own websites, and occasionally they'll post on our website as well. So if you are looking for jobs, this is a great place to look on our Tech Manitoba website about what kind of jobs. Again, it is not an exhaustive list because most of our members do actually post their jobs on their own website. Okay, great. Next slide, please. So we do have an events page, and this is another wonderful resource. There's lots of events that go on in Manitoba, and mostly they're in Winnipeg. So we post not only our events, but everybody else's events. Anything that has to do with technology, we post their events as well. So this is a great page to go to because the last thing, I always hate this where you hear about an event after it's happened and you go, oh, I wish I had known about this. This page is constantly updated. I think it goes into January, February right now. So it just shows you all the different initiatives. Most of these events are free to attend and how you can get involved. So that's a really great resource on our website is the Tech Manitoba events page to show you all the things that are going on in Manitoba that are tech related. Okay, and next slide, please. So we have a newsletter that goes out twice a month, and this is a really great way to stay on top of, what is going on in Manitoba. In addition to our events page, we also list a lot of things in our newsletters that will keep everybody. It's more of a pulse on what's going on in Winnipeg, particularly because most of the events and activities do happen in Winnipeg. So if you do want to subscribe to our newsletter, it is free. It comes out twice a month, and it just reminds people about all the things that are happening in Manitoba, especially if you're looking to get involved. Sometimes there's volunteer or mentorship opportunities that you can get involved in. So this is a great way to stay in touch. Okay, next slide, please. So once you've done all of that research and you've spent a bit of time and you've gone on our website and you checked out the jobs board and you subscribed for a newsletter and you've done all those things and you checked out our events page, the next step, and this is the critical one, is to get involved. And in Winnipeg, it's a very tight-knit community. So the best way is to actually get out and go to these events, the ones that are free or the ones that are near to you, just to start meeting people and starting to find out about maybe if you're looking for work. These are a great networking events. So I always say join a meetup group, and we'll get into all of these further on into this presentation. Meetup groups are just a really great way to meet other people in your community in Winnipeg. So if you have a specific interest, if you're a data scientist, or if you're into cybersecurity, I think there's about 10 different meetup groups in Winnipeg, specifically geared toward tech professionals. So that's a great way to just sort of find out. You go to these meetings, most of them are for free. A lot of them are done online. Again, it's a great way to get involved. There is a Tech Thursday event that happens every Thursday at the King's Head Pub, which is downtown in the Exchange District, and they have panel speakers every Thursday. So it happens without fail every Thursday from about 5 o'clock onwards at the King's Head Pub, and I'll show you some slides about how you can get involved there. But they'll talk about startups, they'll talk about cybersecurity, they'll talk about intellectual property in tech. It's always a different topic, and it's a panel discussion. Again, it's free to attend, and it's a great way to meet others in the sector. And then another way to get involved in the tech community, if you needed some upskilling with post-secondary tech programming, we have a lot of post-secondary partners that offer, short micro credentials if you needed a bit of upskilling. So we'll also go over that a little later in this presentation. Okay, next slide, please. So this is the meetup group that I was talking about. So there are specific technology groups in Winnipeg, specifically, if you go to meetup.com and you type in the search, you see the little search box there that says Technology Winnipeg. It will pop up the different types of, you can see there's a Red Hat user group there. I know data science has quite a large meetup group. I think there's a full stack as well. So it depends what you're interested in. Most of them, I would say, are free to go to. Often they're online or occasionally they're in person, but it's a wonderful way to meet others like-minded in your interest level. Okay, next slide, please. So the Tech Thursdays that I was talking about, this is the direct link on Eventbrite. You can see what's coming up. They usually have them planned several weeks in advance. But yeah, again, it's very casual. It's down at the King's Head Pub, which is in the Exchange District, starts around 5 o'clock. Always a panel presentation and then time for networking afterwards. So I highly recommend bring a friend if you're a little bit shy, bring a friend with you or a couple friends and go to one of those. So you can sign up for them. Most people just show up. You don't have to register for them because it's something that happens on a continual basis. So that's another really great way to meet others in the sector and find out about what's happening in Winnipeg and maybe somebody's hiring. Okay, next slide, please. So if you do need some upskilling, we have a page on our website that's called Career Launchpad, and it lists all our post-secondaries, everything from colleges to the universities. And some of them have micro credentials. So if you did need upskilling, this is a great page to go to because I've put everything on one page and you don't see all their programming. You only see their tech programming. So if you go into, let's say, Brandon University and you click the More button, it'll show you only the tech courses that Brandon University offers, or Red River College or U of M. So it just makes it a lot easier for those who are seeking some upskilling to find out some easy ways to do some upskilling without having to check a bunch of different websites. So if we go to the next slide, there is a QR code that is a quick link, or you can actually just go to our website on Tech Manitoba, the Career Launchpad page, and that'll take you to the post-secondary resource page that we have. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is the fun part. These are all the events. So I talked about ways that you can get involved, listed in this PowerPoint, a bunch of links, but I thought I'd bring up a few that are coming up in the very near future that you might be interested in, might be beneficial for you. So let's go to the next slide. So again, this is a meetup group. It's our Manitoba Women in Tech meetup group. This is quite a large group. I think there's about 1,000 that register, but not everybody always goes to the events. Typically, we have a speaker once a month talking about different topics in tech that resonate with women. We do encourage men to come as well to this, or anybody that supports. We do know that women are underrepresented in technology. That's why we made this meetup group. So it's a combination of a bunch of nonprofits that got together. We're having, if you wanted to join up Manitoba Women in Tech, you go to the meetup group page, you sign up for Women in Tech, and the next one that we're doing is next week, and it's kind of like our holiday mixer, and that one's in person at the Smart Park. So the Smart Park, if you're not familiar, is closer to the south end of the city, out by University of Manitoba. We have a little office there, and they have a really lovely sort of restaurant loungy area that we often hold events. So this is a free event. You have to be a Women in Tech member first. So you have to go to a meetup group first, sign up to be a Manitoba Women in Tech, and then sign up for the event. This one's a lot of fun. Again, it's very low stress, nice way to meet a lot of other people, a lot of women who are in tech, or there's students that often come to this, like post-secondary students who are taking tech courses. We do get a lot of newcomers that come to this one because it is just such a nice kind of event for everybody to get to meet each other. So that one's coming up next week on the 27th from 5:30 on. But you have to register for that one because I think the space is limited and you have to be a Women in Tech member from that meetup group. Okay, next slide, please. So again, we have something called Plugged In. Our next one is December 2nd. So for those of you who find networking terrifying and a little bit scary, this one's a really nice, low, I call it a low stress environment. And it's meant for students, recent grads, those who are looking to make a career change and want to get into tech. And a lot of newcomers that come to Manitoba who are in tech professions like to come to Plugged In. It's at the Across the Board Cafe. It's on Monday, December 2nd, from 5 to 8 p.m. It's free to attend. We usually have popcorn. There's board games there. So again, it's a very low stress environment for you to meet others that are in the tech sector. So it's not a hiring event. It's not where you're going to find out about jobs. Often we'll have a speaker, or we might have some meetup groups there just speaking about, clubs that you can join. So that's another opportunity. Bring a friend and come down to that one. So you would have to register for that one, and you just go to our events page for registration. Okay, next slide, please. Actually, the next few slides, this one is a networking and hiring fair that we do remotely, and it's called Career Connections. Career Connections, what I do is I get a number of industry companies that are looking to hire tech talent in Manitoba or in Winnipeg, and it's all done virtually. Again, it's a very low stress environment, but it's a good way if you are looking for work. This is a wonderful opportunity to get to meet industry that is looking to hire tech talent. So I'll show you the two events that are coming up. And lucky for you, they're just around the corner. So next slide, please. So this one is for entry-level tech talent. So we will have recent grads, people who have just graduated within the last year or so, or if you have, maybe only a year of work experience in tech under your belt, this is a great opportunity. I usually have about 7 to 10 employers that will come to this event. And it's all done on a remote platform. And I'll show you what that remote platform looks like a little bit later on. So the registration for that opens up on December 1st and closes January 15th. And the link there to get more information about Career Connections is there up in the upper right-hand corner. And usually I will also send all of that information out to Manitoba Start as well, so that the caseworkers can send this event specifically to those who are in tech that are looking for work. So Manitoba Start, you will be getting emails from me next week about this event, but this one is entry level. Okay, so we can go to the next slide. So if you have several years of experience under your belt, we also hold one for mid and level. So Ida, if you can just go to the next slide. There we go. So this is for the mid and senior level tech talent. So if you have about 3 to 5 years minimum experience in tech, and sometimes when you're new to Canada, technology here in Canada is like cybersecurity. So we're not looking for electronic technology. It's all of the ICT, it's called, so information communication technology. So that would be coders, network, cybersecurity, data scientists. That is considered technology in Canada. So if you have about 3 or 5 years experience under your belt, I do know that mid to senior level tech talent is something that industry is always looking for, especially in cybersecurity, or if you are in network and architect sort of experience. If you have that experience, I know there's a couple organizations, some of the bigger ones, that are looking to fill those harder to fill roles because they're looking for somebody with maybe 5 or 10 years experience. So I'm going to be doing that event April 10th. Registration for that opens up March 13th and closes April 3rd. Again, I'll have about 10 employers. That one is a little more of a hiring fair than it is a networking fair, because I do know industry is looking for mid and senior level talent. So again, Ida and the people at Manitoba Start, I'll be sending this information out to you, so you can send it out to your caseworkers so that they can send it out to their clients. That is a good fit for both of these events. And the next slide, if you can advance it, Ida, shows you what the networking floor looks like. So this is what Career Connection looks like. And all those tables, you can see like the little squares, that is a table. There's Birchwood, Clear Concept. Those are all company tables. So 4 or 5 job seekers can come and sort of pop in at a table and have conversations with the hiring reps at these companies. So that's what the floor looks like. So you can see on the top, those would be the people that were at the Wawanesa table, if Wawanesa was hiring at the time. And you can kind of click in and out and jump to different tables and meet with different employers. So the first hour of Career Connections is the employers talking about who they are, what their company is all about, their company culture. Then they talk about open opportunities and how you can apply for those jobs. That takes about an hour from noon to 1. And then from 1 to 3 p.m. is when all this networking happens. So it's a great way to meet employers in Manitoba that are actually hiring. Okay, next one, please. So the last thing that one of these, this is a big event that we started. It's called Manitoba Tech Week. It has its own dedicated website page. So we, as an organization, Tech Manitoba, have started a week-long celebration about everything tech in Manitoba. So during the week, we will have we get our members to put on events. We had about 20 events last year. That's the first year that we did it. We're hoping to get 30 or 40 events this year. So I would suggest going back to this website in January when we have our events page fully populated. A lot of the events will be free to attend. And again, it'll tell you what the event is, what it's about, who the audience, like who it's well suited for. But again, this is a fabulous week where you can get out and mingle and network and go to events that are well suited for you. Like if you are a data scientist, maybe there's an event about data science that's happening that week. So I'd highly recommend. We just opened up the portal, so it's just starting to slowly get populated with events. I would suspect by the end of December, beginning of January, we'll have a lot more events on our page. So that is a separate website from Tech Manitoba. It's mbtechweek.ca. Again, a great resource for those who are new to Winnipeg or Manitoba to find out what's going on. A whole week dedicated to things that our members put on, our tech members, to get the buzz about and celebrate everything tech here. Okay, next slide, please. And that brings me, I know there's a lot of information in there, that brings me to the end of my presentation. You can see my contact information down at the bottom. We do have a variety. LinkedIn, I would suggest you follow Tech Manitoba on LinkedIn and also follow me on LinkedIn. Don't necessarily try to connect with me because my connection list is so large right now, but just simply follow, because if I do see tech jobs that pop up on LinkedIn, I will repost them on my personal LinkedIn profile. So you just look me up on LinkedIn and follow me, but also follow Tech Manitoba as well, because we do have a big following on our LinkedIn social media page. And we do, like, it's more of a real time, like current. It stays current with events that are happening and announcements that we have to make. So it's a really wonderful tool to be able to stay engaged and find out what exactly is going on, this month or next month. You couple that up with our e-newsletter if you subscribe to it, and that's a great way to stay connected with us. So I would say, sign up for our social medias. We don't really go much on Twitter anymore. We have a little bit on Instagram, but certainly our LinkedIn is our most popular page. We do have a YouTube website where we post a lot of our videos about tech mashups that we do. So I would suggest going on our YouTube site as well to look at kind of presentations that we've done in the past with some of our members. And I think that is pretty much it for me. Oh, you know what I did want to say? If you go onto our Tech Manitoba website and there's a little button that says membership, if you press that button, it'll show you our member directory. So you can see all our members that are in our membership, all of our 125, 130 members. So what I say to students, anybody that's job seeking, you can kind of go through our member directory and see who are all the tech companies in our membership base, and then go to their website and go to their careers page and see if they're hiring. So I know it's a lot more work, But it's another way to be able to find out, who's hiring in Manitoba, who's hiring in Winnipeg, what kind of jobs that they are hiring for, because particularly they will post their tech jobs on their career page. So Ida, I think that's it for me. If anybody had any questions, if I don't have answers for these questions, I can certainly find, I know enough people that I can find out the answers for the questions that any of your audience might have today.
Thank you, Mary, so much for the informative presentation. Now we will open it up to the audience. Do we have any questions? Again, please type your questions in the question panel box or raise your hand and we will unmute you so you can ask your question. We welcome both English and French questions and we will try to get through as many as time permits.
Est-ce que nous avons des questions? Encore une fois, veuillez taper vos questions sur le panneau de questions-réponses ou lever la main et nous réactiverons votre micro pour poser votre question. Nous essaierons d'en traiter autant que le temps le permettra.
Thank you so much, Rabha. And we have a question in Q&A section. What are the most in-demand skills in Manitoba's tech sector right now?
Yeah, like I was noticing for mid and senior level, they are looking for a lot of architects, those with senior skills in networking. I know Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries, they're having a hard time filling those roles. So again, look them up. Those seem to be very, very in demand. Like anybody that's got that cybersecurity, not entry level, but more of that mid and senior level. I know there is another company that's also Manitoba Manitoba Hydro does a lot of hiring as well in tech. And Pollard Banknote was also looking for that mid and senior level role in network network architectures. That kind of role seems to be something that they're having a hard time to fill.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Marie. And another question is, what skills or experiences are most valuable for someone starting a career in Manitoba's tech industry?
Yeah. So we get that a lot for like if you're a student or if you're just starting out and everybody kind of has the same level of tech expertise, our employers seem to be looking for soft skills. So what soft skills are, we call them essential skills. Do you have good communication skills? Do you work well in teams? Do you have good leadership skills? Are you adaptable? So the tech skills are good, but they're also looking because there's a lot of hybrid work, like how do you work in a leadership role or how do you work with teams and groups? Those seem to be the things that are trickling up, especially for new grads in tech. Because we had COVID, a lot of those skills were rather lost during COVID, especially for our youth. So it's being introduced again about how you can work with other people.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. And another question is, are there internship or mentorship opportunities available for someone new to the tech field?
So internships, yes. So again, internships are very, very difficult. We are finding that there's a lot of tech grads in Winnipeg and Manitoba as a whole, and not as many openings. So the internships have been very difficult. And it's kind of been across the board, across Canada like that. This is not something unique to Manitoba. It's a Canada-wide situation where there was a lot of grads that were created during COVID. And then we had a boom during COVID, right? We had a tech boom. And then now things have gone down to sort of normalized levels. So the internships they are difficult. They are difficult to get. And it's not a secret. Everybody is talking about how difficult that is right now. Not to say that it doesn't exist, but if you are entry level and you're looking for a co-op or you're looking for an internship, that Career Connections event that I'm holding in January is kind of a great way to try and find out which companies are willing to hire entry-level talent. So that's the one I would definitely say to go to, is that Career Connections in January.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And there is another question in the chat. What are the job opportunities for business analyst, Scrum Master in Winnipeg?
Business analysts. Okay, so I have seen a few of them. Again, you'll have to go through Indeed and then just do a search and see. Like I don't have a total pulse on because tech is so broad. I cannot. I just know in broad scopes that network, cybersecurity, the architects. That one's been very, very popular. I know industry is looking for that. But yeah, look on Indeed and type in business analysts and see what comes up in the search results when you are looking for your jobs.
Thank you so much, Marie. And Michael Adu Yamfi, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. I'm going to unmute you so you can ask your question. You are self-muted. If you can unmute yourself, you will be able to ask your question.
Okay, so I'm here. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to ask the question, and thank you very much for such a wonderful presentation. And there's one thing that actually drew my attention to ask this question with regards to somebody asking about the opportunities in the business analyst position. You directed that we visit Indeed to find out. The unfortunate thing that I've realized with regards to Indeed is that it's rather unfortunate that you see a lot of adverts, you apply and you don't get
Yeah.
feedback. So my
Yeah.
problem here is what is the best thing that we're supposed to do in order to get the jobs, even though we apply, we don't even
Yeah.
get feedback. They keep on
Yeah.
sending you adverts, you don't get any feedback and all that. So what's the best
Yeah.
thing that I'm supposed to do to get it through?
Yeah. Now, Indeed's
Thank you.
like, I mean, it's unfortunate that that's sometimes the only easy route that we have is through Indeed or through LinkedIn. But when somebody's applying for a job on Indeed, sometimes there's, especially for the entry level positions, there could be up to 500 people also applying for that same job. Because yes, with tech, a lot of it is remote work, which is beautiful, but that means a lot of people from other centers can also apply for jobs here in Winnipeg. What I am noticing now is that tech is going back to a hybrid model. So they do want to hire here in Winnipeg as much as possible. So that's good. But I mean, during COVID and a little bit afterwards, you could hire people from anywhere because it was 100% remote. Tech kind of stayed in that remote sort of mindset for quite a while where people were going back to work. But now, like when I talk to our members, I'm always asking them, what's your work back to work sort of mandate? And they're saying, we're going back to a 3-day, in the office type of situation, which then means that they'll want to hire locally instead of hiring somebody from another city, right? Unless the talent doesn't exist here.
Okay.
So I'm saying when you go into our website and you go into our members page. I know it's a lot of work, but you can actually check out if they're bigger companies like the solopreneurs and the entrepreneurs, they don't really have a career website or a career page on their website because they're not hiring. But for our small and medium enterprises, they will have a career page. And then you just look, and it's a lot of work, but you just click on check out every one of our members. We have 125 of them. See if they have a career page, and then you can see exactly what they're hiring for instead of trying on Indeed, which I know is very frustrating because there'll be 300 to 500 people applying for the same position.
Thank you
Did that
very
answer your
much.
question?
Yeah, that's a very good feedback.
Good.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So it's more of those going out and networking. And I tell this to tech students who are graduating, and I'm like, you're not the days of where you could just sort of send off a resume and put it in Indeed and get a job. That doesn't happen easily anymore because it is very competitive unless you've got that 5 or 10 years of experience, which is industry is looking for here in Manitoba. There are still entry level jobs, but you really have to go to these events and start meeting people and we have a small community In Winnipeg, it's fairly tight. So that's why I'm recommending go to these events, go to Plugged In, come to Career Connections. That's a virtual one. Go to the Tech Thursdays and then just start getting a feel for who's hiring in Manitoba. And that is how I say to anybody that's looking for a job in technology here in Winnipeg, it is a lot of word of mouth. And somebody goes, oh, I have a friend and I have a friend that might be hiring. That's a lot of, some of these jobs aren't even posted. So that's another recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marie. Is there any other questions? I see a question in the chat box. What if companies are posting the job on LinkedIn and Indeed, but the opening does not show on their website, and we do not know whether they are hiring or not?
Yeah. I mean, apply for it anyways. It doesn't hurt. It's very easy to apply on LinkedIn and Indeed. So I would say do it anyways. But I do find that their career pages, the individual companies, their career pages are very up to date. I would almost hazard a guess that that's probably a better way to go about it. Rather than, try both ways, right? It is a competitive market, so I wouldn't want to say do one and not the other. I would say do both.
Thank you so much, Marie. I don't see any more questions. Oh, there is one question in the Q&A. Is project management classified as tech in Winnipeg, Manitoba? Are there trainings or internship opportunities for that?
Yes, so it is. So there is project management in the tech sector for sure, and it's kind of very important. It wasn't really taught in the post-secondaries, let's say 5 years ago, about how important project management is in the tech sector. So I've seen that that's been gaining a lot of popularity. There is training, like if you go to U of W and their PACE programs, again, you'd have to do some of your own research to find out project management. Sometimes there's micro credentials. If you go to that Launchpad page where we have all the post-secondaries listed with their tech training, I know U of W, the PACE program, is a great program to go to. And a lot of newcomers go to U of W PACE because you're coming with some credentials or you have experience, but you want a 1 year of upskilling in a certain area. And that's what they kind of focus on. So I would suggest checking them out. Red River College does micro credentials as well. The colleges do shorter training, like they might have a 1 year training or even shorter with micro credentials. Sometimes it's over a couple months. But again, it requires work on your point. But we've tried to make it as easy as possible on our website, putting all the post-secondaries and their micro credentials and their tech offerings on one page so that you don't have to sift through every single post-secondary and find out where the tech programming is.
Thank you so much, Marie. And we have one last question here.
Sure.
Do you know the companies for testing software engineers to apply?
Oh, no, I don't. Like, I don't even want to pretend I know who was doing that. Again, you'll have to do a search and do some work on LinkedIn and on Indeed. And again, go to our individual members to see if they are hiring in that area. That's niche, right? So again, I don't know anybody off the top of my head. And look at our job board as well. We don't have a ton of posting on there because most of our members have their own career page. So that's why I would say try LinkedIn, try Indeed, go to our job board, check out our directory, check out all the members and all their career pages that they have. It's a lot of work, but that is the best way. There's no one way to do it, and come to events. It's a multifaceted approach to finding work here in Manitoba.
Thank you. And we have another question here. As an international student graduated from data science and machine learning, I am thinking about creating projects focusing on the problem local companies have. Is there something you will suggest me to reach out to potential employers?
So I'm just want clarification. So this individual is creating a company or an application?
Just a project, yes, not a company, but a project.
Oh, so a project to reach out to employers to get some feedback. Again, you can try our directory page to look at a list of all our members, and see if maybe they might help you out with your project.
Thank you so much, Marie. Thank you for joining us today. I guess this is the end of the questions. I don't see any more questions. And thank you for all the participants for your excellent questions.
Yes, this was a fantastic session. I wish you all luck. Please, I'm at most of these events. If you see me, please come and say hi. My name is Marie, and I would love to see you at our events.
Thank you so much. And if you are not currently a Manitoba Start client, you can call our front desk, visit in person, or complete our online registration form that is on our website under for the newcomers tab, register for services. As you can see, we have eligibility here, and you can click on pre-register online and register online to register for Manitoba Start. And by registering with Manitoba Start, you will connect with settlement services and have access to career services that can assist you with resume development, career planning, job search strategies, and interview skills. For a list of programs and services offered by Career Services, go under the Career Services tab. As you can see, we offer many workshops and many resources here. And lastly, please take a look at our events page, events calendar. We show all our events here. And if you miss a webinar, you can go to the events and webinar recordings and you can watch the webinar you missed before.
Finalement, si vous souhaitez être connecté à la communauté francophone et obtenir de l'aide et du soutien à l'établissement ou à l'emploi, veuillez contacter EDA. J'espère que vous avez trouvé cela utile.
Thank you so much, Rabha. And don't forget that Manitoba Start is here to assist you by providing services such as personalized career coaching, developing your resume, or job search assistance to help you find sustainable employment. Please follow us on social media to stay up to date on our latest events. So, on behalf of Marie from Tech Manitoba and the Manitoba Start team, thank you for attending and stay well.